Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Investing Bros. I'm Army Piper, filling in for TA Tim, bringing you all the macroeconomic news that you need. TA, everything that you need to know how to successfully invest. And that's what we do here daily, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for joining us today. Very happy to have everyone here. But I'm not doing this alone. As always, I've got my co-host, and he's sitting not across the table from me like he does with TA Tim, but he's sitting across the country from me, and that is T. Shrew.
What is up, guys? Thank you, Piper. I'm super excited for today, obviously. Bitcoin getting up above 30K and closing there. Several 4-hour candlesticks. Very, very encouraging. The question is, will it stay there? And are we going to go down or up from here? So we will talk about that. Ron DeSantis and new presidential hopeful Robert F. Kennedy have some thoughts on crypto this morning, or yesterday rather. We're going to be getting into that and learning a little bit more about this Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Guy who seems to be kind of rising as a thought leader here in the crypto space. Going to be getting into some breaking news surrounding Taiwan. We're going to get Piper's take on that. Absolutely. We're going to be reviewing some FUD articles that are making their rounds, trying to keep the pressure on Bitcoin to the downside. And also we'll be getting into the big Shanghai update and talking a little bit about that and how that might affect your portfolio and how it might affect markets. So let's, without further ado, go ahead and get into the quote of the day. I've got pulled up on my screen here. It's a pretty cool one. You may not know who David Sachs is, but he's a pretty big VC guy, big software VC. So let's go ahead and see what he has to say. After PayPal, I never thought I would get interested in payments again, but Bitcoin is fulfilling PayPal's original vision to create the new world's currency. And that's from David Sachs. Really, really big hitter there in the VC world in Silicon Valley and around the world. So that is going to be our quote of the day. Piper, I'll throw it back over to you, and we can go ahead and see who all in the community was first to comment. I'm very interested to see that myself.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, man. That's a great quote, by the way. It is. Look at Bitcoin just solving the world's issues with finance. So, yeah, right. I think this morning the first person we had was a mellow fellow. So, no way. Yeah, he said GM bros. And, just because I have to give, little love to TA Tim, he said, General Motors, bro. That's what he said. So, let's get in to see who all we got in here. We got Yeri Navarro came in this morning. Al Bundles, he said Bitcoin, Ethereum, Phantom, Superverse, Render, Phantom, Matic, Near Protocol. Evidently, he loves all of the top 20 tokens on the market right there. So Al Bundles getting those in with a lot of rockets, whole lot of rocket ships going on there. Mike Play said, I'm not early again. Said, good morning. We got Spee in here. Said, Army Piper, I really liked your latest strategy video. Thank you. I did a video yesterday on Chart Prime on using predictive ranges and using some new fib strategy. So if you haven't checked that out, it's a pretty good video over there in Chart Prime. So I appreciate that shout out on that, Spee. Gia S, this pump won't last too long. It will go down again. Well, that's what makes liquidity in the market. We're going to actually talk about that today. So Josh Denham in the house, Mike Lowry in here. We got, who else? Crypto Trades. Good morning. He said, good morning, bros and beautiful people. So he was obviously talking about you, Tim, out there in the world doing your thing with your beard. Crimson Caravan Company said, I am up too early. So Wind Peoples, good morning all in here. Jay and Carr, we got, who else? Alton Henderson in the house. We got Crux of Crypto with that blue wrench. Always glad to have him here doing his thing behind the scenes for the Investing Bros. We got Bobby Smoot in the house. Joe Nickel, Eric Wallen in here saying good morning. Good morning, Piper. Good calling at 30K. I appreciate that, bro. It was not the work of just me, though. There was a whole lot of brain power in the Investing Bros behind that prediction.
A whole lot of bro power.
Bro power, yes, absolutely. Here, you get this. Maybe you don't. I don't have the sound on. That's why. There you go.
Yeah, that was not very bro.
There you go. That was not bro power. That was broke power. We got Justin Eubanks in the house today. We got Servando Estrada.
Servando Estrada.
There we go. He said, buy Bitcoin. Buy as in like purchase it. Good morning, bros. Not buy like I'm leaving you. Zegger's in the house. Jeff Larson. Let me get a couple more in here. Z Canceling Radio in the house. Glad to have him here. And Ninja Glock. Jeep Girl. And we'll finish out one more. It's going to be CBD Sunny. CBD Sunny gets the last shout out. He said, Tim has been away and having his beard for a few days. And, I'm going to bring up Brocam here, bro. I got to bring this up real.
You gotta. Uh-oh, you muted, Pipes. Looks like you got muted somehow.
Can't have the bro mute. So I got to say here, man, every time Tim leaves, the markets pump.
Yeah.
He put this on Twitter, and I was like, this is so true. And what's funny is every time Crux of Crypto leaves, the markets dump. So I have a question. What happens at Consensus 2023 when Tim and Crux leave at the same time to the same location?
It might be a Doge thing.
We could have a paradox. I'm just saying. Like,
it could be the meme coin moment.
Oh, it could be. It could be. I won't be mad about that. We'll have to see. I'm going to go ahead and jump over, and we're going to start into some macro news today. Let me go ahead and trigger that there. Let's get into this. So taking a look here, first off, let's take a look at the crypto bubbles. We got the crypto bubbles going here today, and you can see we've got a lot of green on here looking at the daily, and even if we put it over on the weekly, you're going to see a lot of green. It's crazy, right? Doge, look, maybe Doge is poising to make a big move. It's got a nice pullback here, grabbing all that liquidity. So a lot of green. You got XRD up there, Render up there, INJ, Solana's up 6.7%. I mean, there's some things moving with Solana. Not sure it's going to go back to its former glory, but it's still moving. Curve's still up right now. Chili's still making its ups. So I'm actually going to be talking about XRP today. I'm very interested to see what happens with XRP in the next week. It's looking pretty poised. So we'll take a look at those charts too. Let's go ahead and get into the economic calendar. Actually, where is my economic calendar? Okay, we'll look at the CME watch tool first. CME watch tool here is actually showing us that we are at 70% chance of a 25 basis point hike. Tomorrow, we got big data coming out, and I'm going to go ahead and throw that in here so that we can have it up. It's going to be the economic calendar, and I'll show you what's going on tomorrow. It's some big stuff coming our way. It is going to be the inflation rate tomorrow, the core inflation rate tomorrow, and our inflation rate. As I showed you guys yesterday, currently looking at 6% right now on inflation rate, projected to be down at 5.2, 5.3. So much lower. And if we pull over to Trueflation here, I want to show you something. Trueflation, which is normally the more accurate, according to a lot of the viewers out there, right? It is older methodology that used to be the U.S. methodology before they changed it. And they're actually reading us at 4.31. Typically, Trueflation comes in higher than what we're projected on the government side, on the Fed side. But Trueflation actually has us even lower than what the Fed's saying. So pretty interesting there when you take a look at that. Jumping over into the last thing I want to show you here. This is Earnings Whispers. This is something I'm going to be bringing to the show. T-Shroom and I, my bad, we have a thing going that we're going to be starting to do where we talk about these earnings. So this is one of the sites that I like to use for earnings reports, called Earnings Whispers. Got CarMax today. They got some earnings coming in. Right now, it's at 0.44 here on the actual. We'll see what it comes in at. The surprise ranking on it is 100% surprise. So we'll see how that comes in. Yeah, they're super surprised. Get the O face there, you know. We also got Albertsons companies coming in here today, and Skillsoft, another big one here. But yeah, we're going to be taking a dig in through these on other shows that T-Shroom and I are going to be doing. But I just wanted to show big one today. I think CarMax. A lot of people think that this company is going to be going down. A lot of people have been shorting on this company, so we'll see what happens with CarMax coming out of this. So that is what I've got for the economic reports today. Just to take a look for today, we don't really have anything. I told you guys yesterday it was just a couple of Fed speeches that were coming out, not big members of the Fed itself. So yeah, FOMC minutes tomorrow though, and the CPI data, definitely what I'm going to be watching there. And then on Thursday, we're going to get our initial jobless claims and PPI and core PPI coming in, rounding out the week on Friday with retail sales and the Michigan consumer sentiment. So I think tomorrow going to be pretty volatile in the grand scheme of things for the markets there. What do you think on that, T Shroom, on those earnings reports? You got any input on those?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. And the reason is because we haven't researched them yet. So what Piper and I are going to do, and let us know in the chat if you think this is the best concept. So what we want to do is every day at the end of the day, maybe not, well, probably not every day, maybe every 2 or 3 days, at the end of the day, probably around 7 p.m. Eastern time, is we'll go through what happened in earnings that day. And we'll talk about the big ones, why they missed, why they beat, and what to look out for. Are they a buy? Are they a sell? Not sure if we'll do it with buy or sell rating, but then we'll also preview what's going to be coming the next 2 days. So it probably won't be every day, but maybe every 2 days during the week. And then maybe the Friday episode will wrap out everything from that week. So that's kind of the concept for now. But no, I have no thoughts on earnings this week other than CarMax is probably not going to, I would imagine it's not going to do super well because what was it? The Carvana hasn't been doing very well. So, but then you could make the other argument, well, CarMax is going to do well because it's a competitor of Carvana and they're taking market share. So we have to do research. Obviously, we'll have to figure all that out. But I'm really excited to be getting into more equities talk. Guys, if you don't know, earnings is specific to stocks and equities. We're going to be not only reviewing the earnings season, but in this earnings season, we're going to be kicking off more educational videos for dummies to equities and the stock market and the S&P and things like that. Not calling you dumb, but if you know, you know. So really excited to roll that out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You got a couple of people in here real fast that I want to address in the chat. Someone asked where TA Tim's at. TA Tim is off doing a business meeting right now, handling some investing bro biz. So he's off doing that right now. So he'll be back tomorrow, back on the show. We'll have the whole bro team back again. And then also someone asked why we are not talking about the Shanghai upgrade that's happening tomorrow with Ethereum. And T-Shroom has got a whole lineup on that. So we'll be getting into that. But right now, we're going to get into some TA. I'm going to show you guys what happened with Bitcoin. So let's go do that. Let's switch over here and let's get onto the screen. Taking a look here at the crypto charts, guys. Yesterday we called, and I had this breakout up here. Let's go ahead and put it in here. Told you guys that we were likely going to get a breakout of this wedge. I did the little flagpole here yesterday, and you can see what happened is we got almost up to that. I had it coming in at about 30,900 yesterday, coming in right along our upper frame of the predictive ranges here. Almost there, but I do want to show you where we got our rejection because some interesting things happening here. I'm going to put this on a 4-hour chart for Bitcoin. They're looking at Bitcoin USD right now on the 4-hour chart, so for Coinbase. So let's go ahead and take this off, and I want to show you we actually created an entire new predictive range here on this breakout and currently getting rejected at that upper resistance line. The one that we had on the previous predictive range turned into support after getting above it there, had a lot of resistance on it, turned it into support, fought back and forth in between the upper trade band and the frame of this for a good number of weeks before breaking out of that wedge that I showed you guys yesterday. Right there, bam, triggered it, got out of there, made a new range, and now rejection on that upper resistance line there of the predictive ranges. But what I want to show you guys is my fib. And I think, nope, that's not the one. Let's get rid of that one. Let's go ahead, and there it is, the local fib. This is the one that I've been showing you guys for a while, and I told you guys that we were getting a lot of resistance triggering here on the platinum pocket on the 786 of the fibs here. Well, look at this. Lo and behold, we actually rejected almost to the dollar on this wick on the 887. So we are currently inside of the platinum pocket, which is a good place to be, guys. We can reject out of this, but the fact that we did not reject all the way back down to the 786 is a good sign. I do think we may drift back down to here in the days ahead, down to that 28.7 there. It is very possible. Don't think it's not. You could trade inside of this platinum pocket and create this whole range here on a whole nother level. Very easy to do. And to talk about liquidity, just so you guys understand, when you get these big high pumps like this and people take all their profit here and sell off, and which brings down the price, and you get back down to a level like this here, what happens is you actually add liquidity back into the market, because now all this profit here can go in here, which is new money. It doesn't take new retail buyers. It only takes liquidity within the market to actually put new money into the market. And by selling off here and buying here, it creates a very healthy run for market price and price action. So I do want to point that out. We could come back to those levels. Remind you, our normal trade band is going to be right here in between these two gold bands of the predictive ranges here. So even if we come back down, this dynamic reactor on the 4 hour lining up here could be easily a spot that we come back to retest this and get that bounce to come back up higher and make another run. And I do want to check something out. I want to throw on a value area high, value area low here. So let me throw on a fixed range volume profile here. And we're going to run it back to this range here and see what we got here. Yeah, look, I mean, we got the point of control. Bingo. There it is. We got a point of control. That's this dashed red line right here on that fixed range volume profile. That's going to be coming in right about that band also. So in this area here, I'm absolutely looking for a good support bounce. But the question is, can we go higher before we go lower? And I've got to say, the fact that we're holding up here so strong and now getting on today's market open, a nice little pump up there. I want to show you guys something using the strategy that I used yesterday. So let me go ahead and turn off that fixed range volume profile, and let's turn off that smart money, and let's get down here and take a look at this. So this is my fib strategy that I did in the video yesterday. And what it does is when you have a run up and then a pullback, it actually, this is when you place these with these very special numbers that you put into it. And that was the points right here. I went from this low to this high. There's our pullback. And anytime you get this and it bounces on this 382 and bounces out of the golden pocket, especially, you're supposed to put an entry on this 382. The full breakout target of this, guys, is the negative 1.618, and that's coming in at 34K. So to say 32K, you're like, well, hey, your thumbnail said 32K. You're talking 34K. Where'd the 32 come from? That's going to be back here. Let's take it on a 12 hour and I'll show you right there. This previous cluster before we collapsed back in June of 2022, this is that area that I am watching for us to get our rejection, our first rejection, which is going to be right in that 32 range right there. If we bring it over, you'll see it's the top of this liquidity grab. And then I would expect that we may pull back to that platinum pocket. So that's what I'm seeing. There's that strategy. I hope that helps you guys. And that's why we're saying 32K is very possible right now. But yeah, we definitely do have a 34K target on this fib strategy that I laid out yesterday in my video. So pretty interesting on that. And before I get into anything else, T-Shroom, do you have any input that you'd like to say on this beautiful Bitcoin projection run we have right now?
I love it. I love it. And you may notice that there's not something behind me that usually is there that sits right around there. Do you know what that is that's missing there?
Your drill.
That's right. So I don't know if this is going to become a thing, but what I'd like to do is drill us up for 30K, baby. We did it.
T-Shirt's got jokes, man. Yeah, so let's get into Ethereum because I want to lay out where... Oh, go for it.
Yes. Before you do, people are saying in chat, advert ? There's a button where you can just insert advertisements. So I accidentally clicked that. Yeah, that was me. I am sorry. I hope that it wasn't a weird advertisement, but it probably wasn't. It was probably just like soap or car insurance. So we'll see. But go ahead into Ethereum. Just wanted to let you guys know what's up.
Lieutenant, sir. Don't touch buttons, sir. For you guys that don't know, I retired a first sergeant, and T-Shroom is getting ready to go to officer candidate school for the Army. So he'll be a lieutenant. And normally in the Army world, it's a first sergeant or a senior ranking non-commissioned officer like that keeps lieutenants from pushing buttons they're not supposed to push. So there we go.
That's correct.
Yeah, let's get back into some TA here. Don't touch the red button, T-Shroom. That's what Mike Lowry just told you. Let's go ahead and take a look over here at Ethereum, guys. And Ethereum's looking pretty interesting too. And we have some big things going on. Everyone's tracking that. Tomorrow, the Shanghai upgrade. T-Shroom's going to be breaking down into that more. Basically, it's going to unlock all of the staked Ethereum, but not all at once. He's got all the details. Just wait for it. Patience. But check this out. Ethereum actually came up yesterday, and back here on, we're looking at a 12-hour chart. So back here on the 4th and the 5th of April, we rejected on this 887 here of the platinum pocket. And I'm actually going to make this just a little bit bigger for you guys so that you can see these just a little bit better, because sometimes when you're watching on a small device, it's not that clear what I'm showing you here. There we go. Bam. Look at that. So yeah, the 887 here is where we got our bounce at last night, or our rejection last night. We're still pushing up on it right now in the platinum pocket. The fact that we have not rejected out of the platinum pocket like we did previously, extremely bullish in my opinion. So I'm going to be watching for that. But something that I do want to point out here is right now, if you look at where our golden pocket is falling into here, we're going to be running right along the value area high. We're going to have this dynamic reactor coming in here. And the longer this keeps running up, the point of control here is going to get higher. Matter of fact, if I grab this point of control and we put in the new candles, I bet you it's going to fall right near it. Yeah, it's coming up a little bit. The longer this runs higher, this point of control is going to start pulling up, guys, into this golden pocket. And I think that we're going to have a definitive solid bottom here that even if there's a lot of sell-off, that's going to be a buying point in that $1,700 range on Ethereum. So I'm not overly concerned about it. I actually have a layout trade that was covered in the video yesterday, and I'm actually shooting for $2,200 Ethereum on my trade right now. Currently up about $2,500 on that trade using that strategy. So
very nice.
Yeah, I think it can go up higher. I don't think the fact that, like I said, the fact on here that we're hitting this platinum pocket and not getting a big rejection, and the fact that over here on Bitcoin, we hit that local right there and hit that platinum pocket and didn't get rejection is a super bullish thing in my opinion for both of these charts right now. So that's what I'm seeing on Bitcoin. That is what I am seeing over here on Ethereum. Let me go take another look here. I want to see what we're seeing on ADA, because I know we got the ADA fans in the house. A lot of ADA love. A lot of ADA love. Cardano love over here in the Investing Bros. So taking a look at Cardano. Tim Warren in the house, guys. Tim Warren is in the chat right there. TA Tim, I'm trying to cover down on you, man, but I do not have the glorious beard, I'm not the brofessor either. I'm the Army Piper, not the brofessor. So we can't wait for you to get back. Let's take a look at ADA here. ADA right now, guys, on this fibs that I have ran on this, and I want to extend over my fixed range volume profile just to make sure that I've got the most latest picture. There we go. Yeah, we're right above the value area high. This is a good thing. If we can hold this value area high, this 40 cent mark is going to be a nice support range right here. And you can see that we do have the 50 that we had to contend with before. That has pushed us back down. Again, this is a 12-hour chart, so all the way back on in February, mid-February, when we got these rejections here on the 50. I think if we can hold this value area high, get this bounce up to here, get this 50 as support, retest it, and turn that to resistance into support, we could be easily heading back up into our golden pocket here, which is going to be coming in at about 45 to 47 cents right there on the fib golden pocket. So I'm going to be watching for that. That's going to be a glorious thing. Let me throw on predictive ranges here, turn off some of this other stuff so I don't give everybody a migraine looking at all my lines on here. Because sometimes it's even rough on me, I promise you. Yeah, if you look on here on predictive ranges, I did not turn you on. There we go. Yeah, we're right now at the top of the trade band. Here's that trade band of the predictive ranges. We have broken it, which is a very bullish thing. And even on this, I mean, that's running up to 44 cents, 44, almost 45 cents at the top of this frame. Now that we've gotten this as support, if we break past the 42.5, turn that as support, get up here, create a new predictive range. This continuation of here coming onto this space here easily could get us up into that. But I would be watching for 50 cents being a harsh rejection, just because it is got that, for one, it's a big psychological number. But also if we go back here and we take a look at what we have at the 50 cent range, it's going to be this whole previous timeline back here. Matter of fact, if I throw a fixed range volume profile on here, you'll see our point of control is coming in at 46 cents, our value area high right at 53. So a lot of resistance in this area over here if we get back up into that 50 cent range. So
love it. Love it.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at there. Any thoughts on these on these T-Shroom, or should I keep going and throw up another TA here?
Dude, I'm just loving it, man. You've been calling it, and things have been happening that you've been calling, and I have been doing well because of it, and hopefully some folks out there in the chat have been as well. And
Z
that's all I have
Cancer.
to say.
Well, hey, I appreciate your input. Z Cancer Radio said, Piper, did the Army teach all these? No, actually, my job in the Army was I was an intelligence analyst, so I would take trends and patterns to predict enemies' next movement. So, taking trends and patterns to predict next movement translated well into charts, and I just figured that I would just find something that was way more fun than deploying to the Middle East every year. So,
I think that calls for a sleeve flag moment.
it does.
That's the wrong sleeve.
Yeah. That's right. Got that sleeve flag. Got my grunt style on there.
If you're considering joining the Army, we have a link in the description if you're thinking of joining.
Hey, we could probably make more money recruiting for the Army right now. I'm just saying, they're hurting. So
if you or a young person you know is interested in joining something that will give them meaning and leave an impact on this world, find a link in the description for the Marines.
For the Marines, yeah. So
Marines infantry.
My son wanted to join the military, and I said, Air Force and Navy. You're not going in the Army or the Marines. So
there you go.
Let's go ahead and take a look at one more thing here. Solana, lot of movement today on Solana. It's got a 7.41% run up today. So let's get in here. Crux of Crypto said, don't click that recruitment button.
Yeah.
Look at a Solana here. And guys, I'm going to do XRP in the Q&A TA at the end, but I just want to show you what's going on here with Solana. Nice run up right here for the past 36 hours. And if we take a look at this run up percentage that I had here, coming from the bottom up to where it's currently at, that's actually 13%. It's doing really good with the market movement. So a lot of bad sentiment. I know we had this evening star that printed back here on the candlestick patterns, and bam, we came all the way down, hit the bullish engulfing, came up. But if you kind of look what's going on here, we are forming some type of pattern here. Let's see if patterns. Yep, there we go. Broadening wedge came out of the chart patterns from Chart Prime. I want to see what we could be looking at on this. Let me get rid of my lines here and see where we could be going from here, because we're only about midway through right now on this chart pattern. So if we came all the way up to here, we'd be looking at 27, which would make sense because it would go and grab liquidity from these previous areas. You know, they like to move and grab that liquidity. People got stop losses here on their shorts. Yeah. And so there's those stop losses. Those are orders in the books. So Crypto Archie, did I just see Archie in here? Maybe. I think can take a look. Someone said good morning there on Archie. So,
yeah, let me take a look.
If he's in the house, I want to give him a shout out. It's my boy. Love that guy. He's killing it over there in Dubai. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at what else we have here. We got huge ranges here. I think on the 4 hour, I'll get a better picture. There we go. Yeah, we're currently trading right now in between underneath the Delta. Nope. Let's drop the line there. Underneath the Delta right now and off of the lower trade band. So, yeah, if we look at this upper trade band, because remember, we normally trade here, we could be coming all the way up to $41 on Solana on a continued move, which would be back in this previous range here, grabbing that liquidity. So I could see that rejection off of that about 41. So does look like we could still get some movement here. We did on the 4 hour fall out of a rising wedge here, rising broadening wedge, but now we have come back in. It looks like we retested support there cleanly. So yeah, we're retesting it right now on the 4 hours. So that's what I'm seeing on Solana. MACD's looking really good on it here. We are a little bit overbought right now, and this could pull back on the 4 hour, but on the 12 hour, still looks like it has some room to go up, and the MACD definitely showing us some good histogram strength there. So that's what I'm seeing on Solana. That's what I got on Bitcoin. One last check on Bitcoin here just to show you on the 12 hour. 12 hour definitely looking overbought there, but histogram looking extremely strong, guys. And remember, Tim has pointed this out before. When we have these overboughts and stuff like this that say, hey, you should be going down, every time that it does that, in a bull market, it gets negated. So I tell people all the time, you can't negotiate with the markets, right? You can't negotiate with the charts. You can't negotiate with the markets. The bottom line is that if the trend is upwards, you've got to trade the trend until the end, right? So right now, despite this, you can see that the MACD definitely looking strong. One last check on Ethereum before I pass it over to T-Shroom here. Yeah, look here, guys. On Ethereum on the 12-hour, we still have a lot of up room that we can move on this oscillator, in the MACD just now crossing on the signal line here at the top, and the histogram getting a nice bright green there. So looking bullish. I had to say looking bullish. And if we go into tomorrow with the macroeconomic stuff that I was showing you on that CPI data, and what else was there tomorrow? Core inflation, inflation rate, and CPI data all coming out tomorrow. If we run into that and it comes in good numbers on top of this run, we easily could be looking at that breaking $2,000, somewhere in the range of 2,200 on Ethereum, breaking through that platinum pocket on both of them, but Bitcoin and Ethereum, getting Bitcoin up to that $32,000 range to contest with that support or that resistance there that I already showed you. And potentially hitting up to that 34K, that would be the breakout target on that strategy, that fib strategy that I showed you. So that's what I'm seeing on TA today, guys. And I hope that you guys got something from that. Crypto Archie said BTC up almost 2x from his long at 15,800. Let's go, Crypto Archie. Get it, fam. You and your drill. So yeah, that's what I got for TA, guys. I hope that helped you guys out, and I hope you got something from it. So
love it, absolutely. Well, today, guys, it is a day of celebration. We've got our new celebration tool right here, and it is loud and it is proud. Let's go ahead and get into the market open. I don't know how much that'll hang around. We'll see, but we'll see. Let's go into over on my screen. We'll start with energy this morning. Natural gas up slightly for its standards, up 0.5%. U.S. oil up barely, up 0.2%. So not been seeing much movement in. Natural gas was having a big day yesterday, but not seeing too much movement in energy just in general. Let's see. Let's take a look. Make sure we're looking at the daily chart here for oil. There had been a big gap up on the OPEC news that they were saying that they were going to be cutting supply. And so that has sent oil through that dynamic reactor. It turned it green, and now it looks like oil per barrel is testing that dynamic reactor and looking to make a move higher. So, and also note that it is still well below the equilibrium point. So that's something to note. And the premium point isn't up until 125. That's because of I would say this is probably thrown off a little bit by the pandemic price phenomenon, but nevertheless, it is still the price that we're getting. It is still what the market is looking at. That's energy. We're spending a decent amount of time on energy this morning. Let's go ahead and take a look 2 minutes into the New York session at the indexes. The NASDAQ actually closed a little bit lower yesterday, while the S&P and the Dow Jones closed green. And so we're seeing pretty much the same thing this morning. That's kind of that echo is continuing into the minutes here. The first minutes of the trading session, and the Dow Jones is still green while the S&P and the NASDAQ are red. I'm thinking that's probably because we're starting to get into earnings season, where the cold water is going to be thrown on the market, and they're going to have to face the truth that margins are just not there as much as they were in Q4. So we shall see. That could be a theory that is easily debunked. All it will take is just a good, thorough data set from earnings for the market to react to that and see where it's going to be repriced, if anything. Taking a look at crypto here, it's mixed across the board, but mostly green. Let's see, the biggest leading number there is going to actually be BNB. So Binance making a big comeback this morning relative to the rest of crypto. But Bitcoin obviously still holding on to that 30K number here, guys, even into the market open. That's big. That's really big, because the market open was another big threshold where Bitcoin could have given it back, could have retraced back down into the 29, 28 range that it's been trending in. We've just done some thorough TA on that, so I'm not going to open up a chart. or on Ethereum or on any other crypto actually. But we'll probably will get into some more crypto TA in the Q&A section here at the end of this very stream. So let's go ahead and go into metals. Metals, both green on the day. So movements, rotations into alternative currencies here, alternative stores of value, as there's rotation out of equities. And here is why, guys. Here is why. Microsoft down 1.7% in the first 4 minutes. Amazon not too far behind, down 1.5%. And then the rest of your big mega cap tech stocks are down as well. That excludes Meta and Tesla. Tesla recovering a little bit from its bumpy ride yesterday, more than bumpy. I think it was down almost 4% yesterday. So it's kind of recovering on that. Let's go ahead and take a look at Tesla, up 1.7%. On the daily chart, you can see here right now, it's been flirting with its dynamic reactor, staying not too far away from mommy, wanting to stay close. And now it is making back a move back into that dynamic reactor to try to flip it back green after getting bought up aggressively in that order block there. So that's the daily chart for Tesla. The story's pretty cut and dry. I made a blunder yesterday. I didn't. We'll just get past that. But yeah, that's pretty cut and dry for Tesla. Putting in a higher low there and coming in with a lower high. So seeing some consolidation there and some sideways movement there for Tesla. Pretty standard and probably more of a buy than a sell there for Tesla, I would say. All right, moving into bonds. The benchmark 10-year down slightly. The yield down slightly, and it is clocking in at 3.4% there. Let's go ahead and click in on the benchmark 10-year here just to kind of get a little bit of a picture of maybe what bond traders are thinking this morning as they're considering exiting their bank deposits and moving into treasuries. So those yields are coming up. So it's becoming more and more attractive to go ahead and buy yields, but it's been recently in the last couple days been tickling the lows there of this downtrending line of support that has not really come down too much. So it's got some resistance here in the order block that's been identified by Chart Prime. And so we'll see if it can push through that order block resistance and push higher up through that 3.5 range to try and explore 3.6. My guess is that we may get a rejection on those yields there. So moving back into our watch list here, the Dixie down. We don't want to skip over that because that is big news when we're seeing big price movements in Bitcoin. The Dixie's down, and on the daily chart, it's really just kind of matching the last candlestick. So not too much to see there on the Dixie, just some sideways movement right there in the heart of the equilibrium channel there from the Smart Money Concepts bundle from Chart Prime, the ultimate indicator in trading. All right, looking at the cannabis markets there, you're seeing a big correction in Tilray and Canopy there as they're giving back some gains from yesterday. Not exactly sure what the pop was. I didn't follow up on the news for cannabis, but there was a big pop yesterday. Definitely going to do some research on that and see what's going on. It's going to be a big election story, guys. The federal descheduling of cannabis will be the big story. The names you see here are mostly Canadian names, so keep that in mind. There is a difference between Canadian and American cannabis companies. So maybe I'll do a video on that soon about why cannabis is on my watch list. Right, moving into your mid-cap tech stocks, Snow is leading down sharply. Leading into earnings season, Snow is getting repriced down 5.5%. That is Snowflake. And then Coinbase getting more movement to the upside today. It was up yesterday and it's gapped up now this morning. In the first 7 minutes, it is getting a nice little candlestick gap. So we should see probably that gap get filled at some point, but maybe not anytime soon. We shall see where it wants to go from here. It's got really plenty of room to run back up to this equilibrium range. So we could see a $73 per share Coinbase pretty soon here, and easily as high as even $75 per share Coinbase there just in the next couple of days, as Coinbase is known, as you can see back here, to rally on positive crypto news. Moving on, let's round it out. C3.ai, a big AI tech stock, up 2.7%. You are seeing more rotation, I'd say, into the mid caps tech stocks, less Snowflake and Robinhood. That is interesting, guys. I'm not exactly sure what to make of that, but if you compare that to the mega cap tech stocks, you are seeing the total opposite. That's pretty interesting, and then less Tesla. But the overall kind of narrative here is money's moving out of the bigger cap tech stocks this morning and into the more mid and lower cap. That's interesting. Don't know exactly what to make of that, but that could be. Let us know in chat if that's something that you've seen before and have seen some patterns play out from that type of a unique phenomenon. Big banks coming in, getting bought this morning, and your oil producers doing the same on the rising price of energy there. All right, Piper, did anything that I showed just now, did any of that pop out to you as significant? Maybe you have some insights on why there's rotation out of big cap and into mid cap.
I don't know for sure, but it looks like it's alt stock season. So
that's a really good way to think about
maybe
it.
the stocks are doing the same thing that we see in crypto. It's alt stock season, right? And also
Awesome.
Coinbase, another 5x, and you can be at where you were at when you bought it Coinbase stock at release. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to take some time. It would have been nice to be, what is it, A16Z fund and have exited at the IPO, but we'll see. All right, moving on into some of the stories here for the day. We've got a bunch, guys, but first, let's go ahead and talk about this upcoming event. Piper, T Shroom, Tim, and Crux of Crypto all going to be attending Consensus 2023. It's going to be taking place April 26th through the 28th. So, guys, if you were at all considering going to this event, which you should be, you're going to want to probably go ahead and lock in your plans now. Go ahead and get those tickets. The price are going to be going up. The prices for the tickets are going to be going up in just a day, in 14 hours. So go ahead and get those. But T-Shroom, where should I get those tickets in a way that I could also support the channel that I'm watching now, the Investing Bros?
Great question,
Isn't it?
It is.
That's what
Great
I woke
question.
up thinking this morning is like, how could people save money on this awesome event's tickets while also supporting the channel? Well, we figured it out. Down here, we've got a link to that very event. This is where you click through and you buy your tickets using the code BROZ, BROZ. You get 15% off, regardless of what the price is. You're getting that discount, and you are gonna love it. Another awesome link that you'll want to consider here is the Chart Prime link. 45% off the first month or quarter that you're going to be using Chart Prime. You see Piper use it, you see Big Tim use it, and you've seen me use it this morning on my stock analysis. And for now, 45% off of that awesome indicator. It could be all yours. Go on over and check out the website. But if you are going to get the indicator, make sure you're going through our link, which is here. If you just click on it, and if you just click buy on the website, we will not be supported in that transaction. All right, guys, that's going to wrap out our awesome promo moment. What I will also say is if you are in the free Discord, then you are really rocking. I would encourage you guys to keep checking out that free Discord if you have not already done that. But for our paid members on Patreon who have access to the paid member Discord chats, you got to see the new newsletter yesterday. If you are interested in seeing the new newsletters that we are putting out every week, it's the must-know information in crypto and a little bit equities. And I also share my unique take on where I think kind of the macro is going. You're going to have to go into Patreon, which the link is right here in our description, and you can sign up, become a member of the Investing Bros, and have access to not just the newsletter, but all the goodies in there. But I'm bringing it up specifically today because that newsletter is new, it's fun, and people are loving it. Especially big shout out to Crypto Trades for all the amazing feedback that he's.
It's informative too. Very informative.
It is informative. That's right. It's not just fun and exciting. It's also informative, which is what we try to do here. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into the stories because we've got a lot, but we've got a decent amount of time too. So we're gonna have some real fun with this, me and Piper. All right, strap in, folks. We're going to start off with some breaking news, and I'm just going to basically scroll here through Twitter. This was posted 5 hours ago now, but 8 Chinese ships remain in the waters of Taiwan after an exercise. Taiwan detects Chinese warships and aircrafts operating around them, despite Beijing declaring an end to its war games yesterday. And what's the French factor? Well, Zero Hedge is tweeting out, quote, a parting gift to Z, that is the premier there, the president of China. prime minister, whatever. It said, parting gift to Z, Western allies furious at Macron, who is the prime minister of France, call to stay out of the Taiwanese crisis. So this is big, guys. This is big geopolitical stuff right here. Macron, this man right here, the elected leader of France, telling the rest of the West, hey, stay out of Taiwan, okay? Let the Chinese do what they're going to do over there with Taiwan. That obviously is an extremely controversial take there from the leader, who's also has his citizens rioting against a pension plan change there domestically in France. The latest, 29 minutes ago from Reuters, a Chinese military ship was seen conducting live fire drills near Pingtan Island, China's closest point to Taiwan. So, Piper, before we get too far into the news, I want to hear what you have to say. Before we do, what is this BBC? You don't need to go back to my screen, but BBC has a tweet said Taiwan bear badge purchases back after China's latest military drills. So there's some propaganda be going viral. Some pro-Taiwanese patches are going viral. People are buying them up, and it's a picture of, I guess, a Taiwanese bear punching. Go ahead and check this out. It's a Taiwanese bear punching Winnie the Pooh, who, if you haven't been following this meme, Winnie the Pooh is synonymous for Xi Jinping, the president of China, prime minister. I can't remember what he is, but he's the leader there of China. So, all right, Piper, what are your thoughts on this? Let's get into the bro cam and break this down. Are you going to be seeing T-Shroom having to go live from Taiwan in my OCPs, firing off me to try to figure out what the heck's going on, or is this all just FUD?
We've seen this from North Korea. We've seen it through with China at other targets, not so much us. We've definitely seen Russia do this to us and over in Alaska, and it's harassment. They do harassment operations that are just close enough to the line to say, look, I mean, we're still technically in international waters here, or in our waters here, so on and so forth. But they do these to it's a flex. Like, we see it all the time. Like, everyone gets all uptight every time North Korea launches a missile out into the water. But the bottom line is if they wanted to shoot it at somebody and hit a target, they would, right? Mm-hmm. It's literally to go, this is our capabilities. This is how far we're willing to go. We are willing to go outside of your comfort zone. So it's a flex. It's a big flex. At the end of the day, Taiwan and the ties to the U.S., I think what's more important in all of this is France, because China doing what they're doing with Taiwan is a norm. Our relationship with Taiwan is well known. At the end of the day, China doesn't want to lose out on their number one export destination, which is the United States.
Right.
Like, China's economy cannot afford to lose the U.S. money, and that's exactly what would happen in that situation. Yeah. So, sadly, our prices will go up here dramatically on a lot of stuff because of cheap Chinese goods, but, it might be better for U.S. companies in the long run. Yeah. France, however, France's situation with that, like, bro, you're a member of the NATO alliance. You're a member of the UN. We're gonna have to have some talks here. It's almost like France is surrendering before the conflict, not during the conflict, for a change. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's either the case that Macron has been misunderstood by the media and he'll come out and make some clarifications, kind of walking back kind of what he said and clarifying that he is indeed not going to go against Washington, or he's serious about this. I mean, there is one tweet here that is a little bit clarifying. Let me see if I can go back and find it. Let me see if I can find it. It was basically saying that what his main intent, what Macron's main intention is to try to figure out if Europe should be a third pillar, if they should have a sovereign agenda, a sovereign policy, foreign policy on the Taiwanese issue, separate from Washington and Beijing. So in that, there's a little bit more wiggle room for sentiment towards him from being sympathy towards his view, but that's still a far cry from being in lockstep with your allies, the Washington and NATO. So I think it's a problem. I definitely think that either one of those two things are going to happen. Either he's going, like I said, he's going to walk back those comments. I couldn't find it, by the way, Piper. Either he's going to walk back those comments, or He's going to show that Europe is independent of Washington and Beijing, and that is going to be the new normal. I will point out, though, that he's not the only leader of Europe. Obviously, they have a union. If you haven't heard, that's a new thing since the 70s. But yeah, so we'll see. I mean, he is an important voice in Europe. I will say that. But I'm sure that the UK and Germany is going to go ahead and make some clarifying statements pretty soon. And yes, I know that the UK is not part of the EU. Okay, you don't need to come at me in my geography
Get
again.
them, Cryptex. Get them.
All right. Well, moving on, guys. We got a ton of stories, but that was a breaking one. It's a slight movement forward. I like Piper's characterization of this. It's probably nothing to be fearful about, but it is a little bit of a movement forward in China's and the Taiwanese narrative. So let's go ahead and let's get into the next story here, and that is some more comments from potential United States presidential nominees here. And this one is first from Ron DeSantis, who says, my governor here in the great state of Florida. He said, it is not merely ideal that major changes in public policy receive specific authorization from Congress. It is constitutionally required. Unaccountable institutions cannot impose a CBDC on Americans. They will tell us that CBDCs won't be abused, but we are wise enough to know better. This wolf comes as a wolf. Very interesting. And he's responding there from a Federal Reserve tweet that says the Federal Reserve has made no decision on issuing a central bank digital currency and would not do so without clear support from Congress and the executive branch, ideally in the form of a specific authorization law. And so really what is going on here is Ron DeSantis is essentially agreeing with them, but taking it further and saying it's not merely ideal. Okay. It's required by the Constitution. Piper, do you agree with that? Just quickly.
I do. I do agree with that because you can't, you can't just create new money. The only people that can create money is Congress. Period. That's it. That's all there is. So this would not be Congress creating money. This would literally be technology creating money. Mm-hmm. And plus, if they're saying that if the Fed Reserve is saying that it will not replace cash or other payment options, then no one's going to use it anyways.
Yeah.
If you tell me, hey, do you want to use this, the U.S. dollar and everything that you've been using forever anyways, or do you want to use the CBDC that we can track every single little thing you do? And I'm going to be like, no, I'm not going to pay the guy down the street that comes and mows my grass once a week with the CBDC so that he has to pay taxes on his $20 to cut my grass. It's stupid. It's stupid.
I will point out, though, that the Federal Reserve is saying, and they would not do so without clear support from Congress and the executive branch. So that, I mean, for all of the back and forth about CBDCs, that is a breath of fresh air. But Ron DeSantis is saying not so fast, and he's calling them a wolf. This wolf comes as a wolf. So he's making his opinions clear, but he's not the only presidential hopeful who is making their thoughts clear in the crypto realm. That is going to be the rising star here. Oop. That's not what I meant to do, but you can, in the meantime, go ahead and follow Tom Crown if you want to. The rising star here, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And I've asked ChatGPT to describe his career very quickly, and so we'll get to that in a second. But let's read his tweet. The claim that FedNow is not the first step toward a CBDC would be more easily digestible were we not aware of the Biden administration's steady barrage of hostile broadsides against cryptocurrencies. Between 2008 to 22, the Fed partnered with a handful of big banks to print 10 trillion, 10 centuries of wealth in 15 years, a bonanza for the banksters. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin give the public an escape route from the splatter zone. Love that rhetoric. The splatter zone when this bubble invariably bursts. So the White House is colluding with the banksters to keep us all trapped in the bubble of profiteering and control. In his February 8th post on Pirate Wires, Nick Carter describes how the White House has organized bankers. Okay, so then he goes on to say where he's getting this information. But this is a pretty good, this is, I mean, well written, very well written for Twitter especially. But this is Robert kind of putting some more cards on the table, saying, "Hey guys, I might be the crypto candidate for 2024." Biden and Trump and Ron DeSantis are, Trump has been kind of quiet. He's been a little bit outspoken on the U.S. dollar, which kind of bleeds into CBDCs to some extent. But Robert is mincing no words about it. He's coming out very fiercely pro Bitcoin and anti CBDCs. Whereas Ron DeSantis's rhetoric is very anti CBDCs, but it's not necessarily pro Bitcoin. So interesting movements there. Obviously, the rumblings of 2024 are here, but let's learn a little bit more about this potential pro crypto candidate, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I asked ChatGPT 4, mind you, to go ahead and describe the career of Robert F. Kennedy, and I'll get into some of the highlights here. He was born in 1954, January 17th. And he's considered by ChatGPT to be an American environmental activist, attorney, and author. He's the third child of Ethel and Robert F. Kennedy, the former United States Attorney General and U.S. Senator from New York, and the nephew of the 35th U.S. President, John F. Kennedy. So he's going to have to do a lot of work to make sure that people know that he's not a member of the swamp, quote unquote. That would be my takeaway from that first paragraph, is he's definitely a very establishment guy. Now, obviously, the counter argument to that, well, Kennedy, the President Kennedy, was kind of the opposite. He was very anti-establishment, and we know how that one played out. But Kennedy's, going back to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s career in a synopsis here, and again, guys, why am I reading this? Well, because he's a rising star. He could potentially be that pro crypto, pro Bitcoin candidate that could come in 24, take it, and lead the executive branch towards clarifying and passing really good legislation in crypto. Piper, am I misguided here that this is important to kind of understand? Or should we move on?
I think it's important to understand, but I don't know that it's as exciting for some people.
Sure.
Because at the end of the day, my biggest question that I have right now is what Crux just asked: How do politicians on Twitter get this many characters allowed to post?
Yeah, that's funny. There's some ways around the limit there, but I mean, it looks like he's worked in environmental law, which is going to be an interesting sell to conservatives, and he's running as a Democrat. So I've just scrolled through. You guys can read for yourselves if you want to, kind of what ChatGPT thinks of him in terms of like what is extractable from the known libraries that ChatGPT is trained on. I thought it was kind of cool.
It is very interesting for me.
But overall, yeah.
But I'm old.
Yeah. He earned his bachelor's degree from Harvard in 76, and a JD from University of Virginia, very, very prestigious law degree there, in 81. So, yeah, I mean, he's obviously very establishment. He's going to, again, if he wants to run anti-establishment, he needs to distance himself from the swamp, quote unquote, again. But I think that he, from reading this, there's not any like jarring controversy. Maybe I should ask ChatGPT if there's any controversy. But speaking of controversy, let's go ahead and get into the latest FUD from the New York Times, guys. This interestingly timed article came to me this morning, titled "The Real World Cost of the Digital Race for Bitcoin." So, and I tweeted out, I wonder how long they've been sitting on this one. But guys, I mean, basically it's just a hit piece. It's a hit piece on Bitcoin. They do a bunch of research and talk about all the different mining facilities. What's actually kind of cool is they show a map of where they all are. So I thought this was actually kind of useful. So you can see where all the major mining facilities are. And they also give some kind of stats on energy. So altogether, these consume more than 3,900 megawatts of electricity. They have some other statistics. That is nearly the same amount of electricity as the 3 million households that surround them. So there's a lot. I mean, ultimately it's FUD, but there is some interesting things to learn here from the research that they've done, if you can believe it. to any extent, which I do. I think that there's obviously some legitimacy to the research that they're doing, but it's in the name of anti-crypto. It's in the name of whatever interest group has paid for this PR piece on the New York Times billboard. Well, there was a comment, so there's a comment section that's kind of cool on this type of. First of all, how is this even a magazine or a newspaper anymore? This is like more like some kind of documentary, but I think it's kind of cool. But anyway, they've got a chat section. You can go, you can look at it, you can see all the different chats. I will say that most of the chats are very pro the sentiment of this title. They're all like, oh, Bitcoin bad. But there was one chat I found interesting. It's from Ed Taylor, Berkeley, California. Said this article could have been written about any industry that uses a lot of electricity: smelters, data centers, the mills that make paper for the New York Times. Got them. To target an activity for pulling electricity from the grid means you don't like the activity to begin with. That's why this is a hit piece on Bitcoin and the places that support it, like Texas. Let's be intellectually honest in the articles we write, and let's focus on what matters, finding ways to generate much more electricity in the world in a greener way than we are doing now. So guys, expect probably reverberations from this when the New York Times posts things, all the other little fish, all the little beta fish that sucker up to the shark that is the New York Times. They will be obviously in lockstep with the New York Times and publishing some probably similar articles to help give their take and give their spin on why Bitcoin is bad for the environment. But of course, as we know, it does take electricity, obviously, but it is not worse for the environment than fiat currency. And we've done extensive research to know that. I personally have. So no matter what they're doing, it's said well in this chat, is like, you can literally say this about any other industry. You could say this about fashion. You could say this about media. You could say this about any industry that uses energy, software development, shoes. It's like things come at a cost, yes, but better money is the cost is worth it ultimately. So let's go ahead and move into the next story here, and I'm only going to read the articles of the titles of the next two stories. MetaMask launch.
T-Shroom, why didn't you answer that phone call? They needed to know if you wanted to renew your auto insurance, man.
Yeah, I don't know. They're calling me again. It's a call from Otalora Maritime. I have no idea what the heck that is, but all right, moving along. MetaMask launches direct fiat to crypto on-ramp services. The buy crypto feature is part of the portfolio DApp, and users can now use local payments methods to buy roughly 90 cryptos by connecting their MetaMask wallets. I use MetaMask. It's great. And now it looks like they have an on-ramp directly from fiat. To be honest, that is pretty great. That is going to make life a lot easier for a lot of people. Moving into our next headline only read: Solana leads crypto market rebound, jumps 10% overnight. Solana is riding positive sentiment across the crypto market and the excitement around its Android phone launch. And I wanted to bring this to you guys' attention because this is, in my opinion, it's understated. So, and here's why. And I said this on Around the Blockchain last week when I was on, but this is why. So Solana, not a great project overall, right? It kind of sucks, but the fact that they're releasing a phone could put pressure on Android and Apple to become Web3 compliant, to become Web3 progressive and start to innovate in Web3 and have wallets native on their devices. So do I love Solana? No. But do I like the fact that they're releasing a phone that is going to compete with Apple and Android? And yes, I absolutely do. We've seen how Apple will release new features and then Android users will say, we've had that for 10 years, right? So that's exactly the phenomenon that I'm hoping is going to happen here. The Solana phone ultimately will probably be a flop. I don't want it to be a flop, but that's just the reality of it. It'll be a flop, but it will potentially, hopefully, grab the crypto community into demanding crypto first features and crypto native features such as wallets and trading platforms that come natively with the actual phone itself. So ultimately, this is an important story because of that and how it could move bigger players like Google and Apple. Moving into our big story here. This is how Ethereum Shanghai could upgrade could impact the price of Ethereum. So this will be the one that we kind of camp out on before we get to the Q&As here. And I know we're 3 minutes over, but guys, this is important stuff. Let me know in the chat if you don't care about this upgrade, but I'm pretty sure that you do. Shanghai ends the 2-year lockup period on staked ETH and its corresponding rewards. If all goes well, Ethereum stakers will be able to begin sending withdrawal requests in the network immediately after Shanghai goes live. And then we've got some quotes from some folks that know what they're talking about, and then Piper and I are going to break it on down. With many speculating whether this event will cause a massive sell-off in price, it's important to realize that the withdrawal queue only allows a limited set of requests per day, 115,000 to be precise. So while there may be sustained downward pressure on the price, unstaking is not likely to cause a sharp and sudden dip. So that's our first point against a sell-off. Individual stakers, those those who were able to pony up at least 32 ETH, worth approximately 60K at today's price, themselves can expect to wait at least 2 to 3 days to have withdrawal requests processed. Okay, so that's another point towards bullish, not bearish. And then a couple more here, a couple more details. Most people have been able to sell ETH, staked ETH, for quite some time because of the majority of ETH is staked on platforms that have liquid staking tokens like Lido or Rocket Pool. Okay, that's the third point, away from bullish and towards away from bearish and towards bullish. And then I think this is the last one. It is entirely possible that there will be more people willing to stake ETH, locked up liquidity and reducing the availability of supply after the upgrade, as people will be more certain that they can safely unstake their ETH. Makes sense. Piper, what is your takeaway from here? Are we going to see a big dip in ETH, or do the comments here in this Decrypt article bring you a soothing comfort of sustained gains in Ethereum?
So I don't think, I've said this for a while, even inside our Investing Bros Discord, I don't think we're going to see a big pullback on this. I think it might be a little fear sell-off on it as it starts to move, but I don't think it's going to happen a lot. For one thing, they were very smart with when they released this. We're in the uptick. Why is anybody going to stop now? They might unstake, but I don't think that they're going to sell. And another fact is that when you look at when people actually staked, people are not in profit. Most people are not in profit from when they staked. So they locked it up for a long time. They knew that it was going to be locked up for a while. They didn't realize this long, but now they're in the negatives. They're underwater on the price that they paid when they staked it. I don't know why anybody would just sell it off right now. Like, hey, we're on our way up. You want to get off the train? Like, no, I want to stay on the train. I'll sell later. So I think overall, because of the timed release of it, the staggered release of unlocking, on top of the fact that you got people that have accumulated a lot of Ethereum during this down cycle, a lot. I've got a lot of Ethereum staked on Coinbase right now. As soon as it unlocks and I have all of my Ethereum together, it is very likely that Crux and I are setting up a validator node, because I've got like 92 Ethereum now. So why would I not validate myself, make all of it myself? So I'm actually going to unstake and put it into a validator node. Like, I don't know why. I don't think this is going to be a big sell-off. And I've said that numerous times. I still stand by that. If I'm wrong and it does do a pullback, I'll be okay with that, because all I'm going to do is do a little short on top of my long to hedge my thing until it hits what I think is support, and then we'll flip all that new free Ethereum back into another trade. So
Absolutely. All right. Well, Piper giving you the keys to the kingdom there at the end, but here's my take on it: is essentially there are some phenomenon that could be bearish here, which I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but just to have some healthy bearish consideration, right? So what could potentially happen here is that what is around the corner is what the media keeps saying: a recession. What do people need in a recession? They need liquidity. They need money. And if they've had money locked up in this thing that they can't get it out of, in this investment they can't get it out of, when the floodgates open and they can get it out of it, they may be inclined to do so. And so that would be the recession argument, that people need the money. And there's a lot of broke people out there in the United States, and if they got into staking, they got into crypto, and they put a couple hundred, maybe in a couple $1,000s into Ethereum, they may be inclined to say, oh man, now I can actually pay my rent, I won't get kicked out, maybe I can get my kid an extra big cake for their birthday party this time. So there are some liquidity reasons why people are going to definitely sell. The question is in what volume, and is that going to move the price? The other consideration would just be better investments. There are potentially better investments than Ethereum that people would want to go ahead and sell off to go buy. And so that would be the bearish consideration. Let me know in the chat if there's any other bearish considerations for this event. But here's my take. Ultimately, even thinking about the good and the bad, is that I want to stake my ETH. I've never staked ETH. I've never staked it because I didn't want to have to mess with the inability and the illiquidity of not being able to unstake, right? So I'm going to stake. I'm excited to stake. And I think most people who have a couple Ethereum are thinking the same thing. They want to stake. So when I hear Piper saying he's going to set up a validator, I'm thinking, how can I get in on that fun, right? I'm not thinking, oh, well, maybe I should go ahead and just sell my Ethereum and blah, 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 blah. No, I want to buy more and I want to stake because I think under the underlying asset here that we're talking about, Ethereum, is the future of finance, and it also is the convergence of the future of finance and software. So how can you get much better than that? We are in the age of information, although it's concluding and turning into the age of craziness in general. You don't want to get too far away from that. All right, guys. Well, that is going to conclude our stories here. Obviously, we've had a lot to talk about today. We talked about some presidential hopefuls that are throwing their hat in on crypto, one more than the other, and that would be Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is emerging to be and positioning himself to be coming from the Democrat side, or running as a Democrat, might be a better way to say it, the crypto president. Could potentially be the the crypto candidate, I should say. So very interesting concepts there. And then we got into some FUD articles from the New York Times, who's trying to bring down that price of Bitcoin and make people feel all environmentally guilty about investing in the next best asset the world has ever seen. And then MetaMask is getting into fiat direct with an new on-ramp, and then the Solana phone is a thing. And also the Shanghai upgrade is going to be going live tomorrow. Don't know exactly what time tomorrow. Piper, do you know?
I do not know that answer.
Let me check it out.
Check it out. Also, Greg asked while you're in there looking at that, and I'll go start into some TA real fast, but Greg asked also what the Fear Greed Index is on ETH. So if you can look that up.
I don't think that there is one. I could be wrong about that, but I can look it up as well.
I think I've seen something somewhere on it, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into some TA, guys. Hey, check this out. So I've been showing you guys this on the weekly chart here. This is my Fibonacci channel chart that goes all the way back to the beginning of Bitcoin time on Bitstamp here. So something that I want to show you guys here, I did point out that we had been rejecting, and Crux is going to be very interested in this because he said when we get through that dynamic reactor, he's full in degen bullish. So I just want to show you guys after 3 weeks here, almost a month of getting rejected, we are pushing up into the weekly dynamic reactor, pushing in here. So ES Mini, yep, I can pull that up. Yep, so that's what we're looking at here. Almost pushing in on that, so that's good. I had a request for SDAO, so let's go ahead and take a look at SDAO here. SDAO, this is, what was the name of this token? Something, I don't remember, but he asked me to look up SDAO, so I'm pulling it up here and looking. I don't know what the tokenomics is on this. Again, any of these things that I'm pulling up and looking at for you guys, not financial advice. I'm just doing TA, just reading the charts. So looking here on SDAO, we can see that we're on a 12-hour chart right now. The signal line is about to cross on the MACD right here. We are heating back up, which means that we should get some upside movement here, especially confirmed for confluence right here off of the oscillator on the chart prime oscillator. We got the uptrend arrow, we got the ribbon twist that's going on right now, and we're coming out right now of the bullish zone, which will push us up here. It looks like we're going to be coming up. So yeah, I would be watching for rejection here. You can see we tried to get through this dynamic reactor in the 12-hour before. I do think it's possible that it could be running up to 60.5 cents right now. Maybe even wicking up to 62 cents here, but it would have to get above this dynamic reactor for me to get super bullish on it. We did get a bounce on our 50% delta line of the predictive ranges here, but remember, this can literally come all the way back down to this level down here, which would put it back in line with its lows previously. I don't think it's going to go that low, but I would be watching for a retest of 41.5 unless it can get back above this dynamic reactor. And then I would be watching for it to get up into the 70 cent range. So that's what I'm seeing on SDAO. Hope that helped you out. Let me go pull up the ES Mini.
Yeah, and let me, while you're doing that, you can flip over to my screen or not. I can give you the countdown for the Shanghai update is 1 day and 7 hours. So for those of you on the Eastern Seaboard and Eastern Standard Time, you will see the Shanghai update go live at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Around then, so 5 p.m. is going to be the time to watch, and then the Ethereum Fear and Greed Index, which I did not know existed until today, is brought to you by Greg Gressick, who is just the awesomest guy out there, is at 66. So it's in greed. That's could be interpreted as good. So that's something to look at. It's live. It's April 3rd. Now I will say I don't know how reliable this is because the website took forever to load. It was one of the first results though, typing in Ethereum Fear and Greed Index. So, there it is. Take it for what it is. I'm not really sure if this is like how they calculate this. So I don't know. I would imagine they do it very similar to Bitcoin, but there it is.
Yep. That's what I thought. I thought I'd seen one before. I'm an ETH maxi, so I look at a lot of ETH stuff. So
for sure.
All right, let's get back into. I appreciate you pulling that up, man. Thanks, dude. So ES1 Mini, someone asked for this. Looking at right now at our ES1 Mini. For those that don't know out there, what this is you've got like your US 30, you got your ES1, and then you've got your NAS 100. And what the ES1 is going to be your S&P 500 E-mini futures. So I'm looking at this on a 1 hour chart right now, looking at rejection off of the 50% delta. Had a couple of wick ups here that they tried to get back in there, rejected off. Kind of just running sideways on the hourly right now. We are above the dynamic reactor, which is bullish. However, if I take a look down here on the MACD and on the oscillator, it does look like we have the signal cross. We are getting cooled off a lot on the MACD histogram. We had multiple bearish divergences print off here, and we are coming to the downside, but this downside easily could pull up and start to curve in this area right after it hits off of this dynamic reactor. Remember, a majority of the time we do trade between these gold bands on the predictive ranges, so I mean 41.18 would not be out of the question for me, and ultimately we did get multiple support bounces off of the lower support line here. So I'm seeing a lot of downward pressure on it, but I'm also seeing some good support areas. So I would not be overly concerned about this. Let me go throw a fixed range volume profile just to get in this range here and see, because this is pretty much all in the same range right there. And yeah, we're below the value area high, but we do have the point of control coming in right beneath us also. So good way to trade this stuff like this. And I'm going to show you guys what tool to use for that. Besides doing your normal TA like I do with Chart Prime, you can go over here and you can grab this regression trend tool. You can see that this area right here is kind of just running up, and you can trade off of this all day long. So right now, looking to try to get above that 50% line, that dash line in between the blue and red sections here. Again, the bottom of this going to be running in right here along with the dynamic reactor. So a couple of fake outs that have happened there, but overall, I think if the fake out happened, you're probably looking at 41.18 for support on that ES1. Let's see here. I can get render. Let's go get render in here.
RNDR. A little background on that. It was actually the subject matter on when I was on around the blockchain. So render is basically, it's like a distributed GPU network where if you're an artist and you want to render a video, you can use render services to render your video, and it'll render your video on a distributed network. To be honest with you, I think that idea is very similar to the Helium network, where it's an interesting idea in theory, but the way that it actually plays out, and especially when you would apply a monetization ecosystem to that concept, I think that it ultimately comes out and it does not work. So that's my theory on render as well as Helium. But the token doesn't mean that people aren't still going to buy and trade the token. So let's check out how people are trading it right now. And also it was news because it went over to the Solana network. It was on its own blockchain, I believe, or it was on Ethereum, and it has migrated over to Solana. That's Render. And that's the T-Shroom take.
Thanks, T-Shroom. Appreciate that. So taking a look at Render here, I just threw on my fib strategy on this because we did have a good run up here off of a retest back up to this top range. Good pullback there. You see it did a double bottom here on the 382. We did hit the zero line. We're right now heading up to the 382. Ultimately, the target on this would be up at $1.90 almost, $1.89. It's a good run up right now. I mean, everything's looking really bullish on the charts. I'm looking at the 1 hour again, so keep that in mind, but very bullish with histograms turning green, getting a nice bounce in the cloud right here, coming back up. We did have a lot of overbought here as it was running up. It did print finally a divergence. It came back down, hit that 382 from that point. So that's playing out well. Let me check another thing that I can do on here just to see what I'm seeing for Render, because I like to take multiple perspectives on when I'm looking at these things. Not a single source intel guy here at all. Let's go jump down here, up down to there. Let me click on this and go to my normal fibs. There's my golden pocket and my platinum pocket. Yeah, we're running up into the golden pocket right now on it also. So got a lot of resistance on the 50% line right there. But overall, it looks like now we're going to come back up. Not any rejection coming on this at this time. So that's a good thing. So it looks like we're going to be coming up to the golden pocket and probably trying to test this lower trade band of the predictive ranges here. So yeah, I do see easily that $1.66, $1.66 to $1.70 could be in play right now for Render. So yeah, looking good.
Very cool. I just found something on Bitcoin chart really quick while we're waiting on it looks like while we're waiting on more shout outs and questions. If you'll go over to my screen really quick, Piper. I don't do a lot of speculative Bitcoin TA, but I've continued the resistance line that Chart Prime has drawn here for Bitcoin on the 4 hour. But it's a pretty good resistance line, I'd say. But if you run it out and you keep that resistance line going, and then you kind of go off the trajectory that Bitcoin has set post 30K, we would get to 32 organically without even testing and moving up above or flipping this resistance into support. We would get to 32K just trending at the trajectory, which is aggressive. This is an aggressive move up for this amount of time. But we would get there right at the day of consensus. So 28th of April is very interesting, is when about where we would get to 32K Bitcoin. So that just gives me another opportunity. Guys, consensus. Get those tickets. You got an hour and a half. Actually, this is going to coincide almost exactly with the at 5 o'clock tomorrow when the tickets are going to go up. Going to coincide with the Shanghai upgrade there. So pretty interesting stuff. But I like what you were showing also on the E-mini futures. That was really, really cool as well. Do we have any more questions, any more shout outs that people are wanting to see? Oh, well, what do you think about that? What do you think about that Bitcoin TA that I just did, some speculative TA? You see any issues with it? Any major flaws? I see a flaw, and that's that you're muted. Got him.
I said, I think it looks pretty good. I mean, as long as you're reading the data, that's what it is. Every chart tells a story. You just got to understand the language. So, and sometimes, you need translators, and that's what tools and indicators are for, right? So, best way to hedge trade your trades. Well, not financial advice, King D, but what I do is I trade on BitGet. And so on BitGet, I can hedge trade. It's a mode that you can do where you can open a short and a long on the same asset. When I get a good entry and I don't want to close it out because I've got a really low entry and I never want to lose that, I will hedge when I see pullback potential on a short, and I will set a stop loss on the short, but I won't have any. I'll still be running my long the whole time. So the goal is that, if you have a big run up and it could be pulling back, you don't want to lose the profits that you had. So you set a short there on that pullback, and then you close out your short. Then you got extra money, and you can throw that back into your trade. So that's the idea to short, to hedge. It's just a good way to do that. Or you can do an asset, for example, like if I see that Bitcoin's running up, but I see some bad news come out on some token like, I don't know, Solana. We find out Solana's phone is not going to release. at all. Something happened with the FCC blocking it, whatever. You gotta get that macroeconomic news, right? So I will let my
Yeah.
Bitcoin long, but I will hedge on a short trade with Solana because bad news came out about it. And even though I might not get that pump up that I was expecting on my Bitcoin trade, I can still short something that has bad news in the market. So that's how I hedge trade. I prefer to do it on the same asset, but if I need to, I will absolutely do it on an asset that bad news comes out on. That's why I'm always in the news. That's why I watched Investing Bros and Coffee and Crypto prior to this all the time, because you guys were bringing me all the news that I needed to be a degen trader, and now I'm part of the family. So
Now you bring the news.
I do.
I
So looking at the one that I told you guys I would get to is XRP here. Looking at XRP right now, so a couple of things I want to show you. First, I'm using my fib strategy here off of the run up to the top. So it's going to be coming off of this point on the run up to the top here. And you can see right now we actually fell through the golden pocket, which gives me the idea that this is not a good trade strategy where you would, normally you get your solid bounce in here and then you would enter on the 382 for that strategy. XRP's looking a little weak right now on the 4 hour, guys. Even though we had this run up here, we're barely holding on to this 50% line. And if I pull up the other one that I have been running on here for a long time, which is going all the way back, to lows like long ago. This chart right now is showing that XRP, and let me bring it into focus so you guys can see what I just did there. We literally got our rejection on the top of the platinum pocket here. It looks a lot like Ethereum does. I will say that, but it's not looking as strong as like Bitcoin is. We did get a good test here on the 786, and it showed it as support. But right now we're cooling off here. We're cooling off here. Even if I go over to the 12 hour, you'll see look how long it is taking to get out of this climb on the MACD. I do think that we could easily see a pullback to the 786 again here, and this might actually be our range on XRP for a while until some more news comes out. So, of course, tomorrow with the CPI data, if CPI data comes out good tomorrow, this could just punch right through here like it's nothing. But be aware that we could be ranging between 50 to 53 cents for a while over here on XRP. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, one thing as we're wrapping up here, we got about 4 minutes, guys. So if you have any more tickers that you guys wanted us to go ahead and weigh in on, definitely try to get those in here in the next couple of seconds. And either Piper and I'll take a look at those. But one thing I wanted to point out was the weekly candles here on Bitcoin. And I pulled up a fixed range VPVR. One thing that I wanted to point out, guys, is like look at this giant mountain that we're about to go up against. For all of the bullish sentiment that we've taken a look at today, this is a good way to kind of end the show from a Bitcoin standpoint. We have overcome this big valley, and I'm pointing to the VPVR. It's getting a little glitchy because of the candlesticks wanting to come through. But as you can see here, the VPVR we have overcome a big resistance that was at 29,336. We've overcome that. We did that weeks ago. But now, as we're pushing through, there's really not it's kind of a slippery slide on up. But here is where I'm really starting to get concerned, and that is at 31,558. So if you're thinking it's going to be an easy road to 50K, you need to think again. This in the context of this VPVR, this fixed range, there is a big mountain for us to climb, and we've been climbing through mountains, certainly. And in fact, this one was way bigger. This one way back at 19,200. That's going to provide a lot of support if we go back and test that. That's kind of, you saw this wick back here in the week of March 6th. But we have climbed some big mountains. This one right here, very significant at 23,000. But we've been going through a valley, and valleys are a little easier to slice through here. And now we're coming up against a unique valley, a unique mountain, a mountain that is much more prolonged. It's more of a plateau, you could even say. So we're coming into I'm not going to call it uncharted territory, but that's kind of what I want to call it. We're coming into some new territory here for Bitcoin as post fresh lows, I should say. So post lows, we're coming in and we're going to be battling this mountain of VPVR volume, buying and selling volume, and so that's something to keep in consideration, and hopefully will keep you from FOMOing in more than you should. But this does not mean you shouldn't buy. This just means you should be considering what the VPVR on the weekly fixed range is telling us. Piper, I'd like to get your thoughts on that. And if there were any more shout outs, which I'm not seeing, we can go ahead. Oh, Chainlink. Okay. Well, I want to get your thoughts on that, and then we can go into Chainlink and wrap up the show.
Yeah, I agree that we are heading up towards some heavy resistance. I mean, that's why I was saying like the 32 is my first resistance, even though my targets are 34 on some of my TA that I did there. But yeah, I do want to get into Chainlink real fast, guys. Looking at Chainlink here, we do have a fair value gap that's coming in right here on our smart money concepts. We've been trading inside this regression trend going all the way back to May of 2022. We did have some fake outs that happened here, but for the most part, right here in this range, bottoms and tops is where we've been going. I've told people this was a great range trading asset, and right now we're getting a lot of support here on top of our dynamic reactor. But what I want to show you is I want to come in here, turn off these fair value gaps real fast, and I will show you what I'm working with there. Nope, that's the wrong chart. Let's do this. There we go. Let's get that one. Turn off these. I want to throw on the multi-time frame and show you the 4-hour and the daily here for support resistance. And you'll see right here, we have a major 4-hour support coming in at $7.67. If we can get above that, which is also exactly right where that fair value gap we're sitting at too, I would be looking at $8.32 as we bounce off of this dynamic reactor to go up and get back into this range that we've been trending in for a long time. So that is what I got there. Looking at that, I do want to drop over and grab a little thing here. We had this from Tom Crown. He said, "Good morning, Bulls." So it's always great to see Tom Crown in the house. I appreciate all of the content creators that take the time to come over and show the Investing Bros some love. So I always want to give those guys a shout out too. And all of our viewers, even if you're not a content creator, you are a bro, and we are glad to have you guys here too. Go ahead and let's take them out there. You got anything you want to put out lastly there, T-Shroom?
I would just say be looking out for our equities content at the end of this week on Friday, and next week we have Drew Wolfer on Friday coming on to the live show. Or is he coming? Yeah, and then on next week Drew's coming on to TA Talks, right?
Are you talking about Crypto Archie? Or are you talking about Tyler Hill?
Drew Wolfer.
Drew Wolfer. Okay, yeah, Drew Wolfer's coming on TA Talks this week.
This week. Okay,
yes.
So this week, and then on Friday on the Investing Bros. So
correct.
Be looking out for Drew. He's a really cool guy. Tim's dogs are out there fighting in the living room. That's funny. Beamer trying to get on the show before he tries to escape with all his Bitcoins. But yeah, so that's about it. Take a look at the newsletter. If you're in the paid Discord, if you haven't already, take a look, give us some feedback, let us know what you're thinking about that. I'm especially interested to hear what you have to say about my T-Shroom take in this newsletter. So
it was great. It was great, and everybody loved the T-Shroom.
That's what I need to hear.
All right, that's all we got time for today. We appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back here tomorrow morning doing the same thing, 9 o'clock. TA Tim will be back with us. We appreciate you all being here, and we will catch you next time.